Welcome to Chromatic Roses, where a couple of Midwest women cultivate a community at the D&D table. I'm Caitie.
And I'm Soren. And this week in the Rose Garden, we are back to co-piloting your favorite little new adventurer, Sorcatia Rosethorna. And we have also a very special guest who's joining us.
You'll never guess who it is.
You'll literally never
guess.
In a million years will you guess. Are you ready for it? Drum roll, please.
Oh.
Why? Well, anyway, ta-da!
Wow.
TJ's joining us in the garden today.
It is I, TJ.
Tis I.
Just stumbled into this garden. Don't know how I got here, but here we go.
So this is going to be our third session that we've done with Sorcatia, Caitie and I co-piloting her. The last two sessions, Caitie and I have literally been sitting next to each other and had all of our notes at the ready. And since we switched to recording remotely, just for ease of access and whatnot, we realized that I have all the notes and Caitie has the character sheet.
So now it's even more separate than before. Now we're co-piloting remotely with one hand on the throttle and one hand on the steering wheel. So
sounds about right.
You decide which one's which. Yeah,
that's great.
Oh, many layers. All right, TJ, feel free to take it away.
Sure. Would either one of you like to recap a little bit of where we left off?
Not I, because I don't have the notes.
Okay, so the last time we were with Miss Sorcatia, they defeated the Mimic. They made their way to the stronghold to drop off payment. Oh yes, we got to interface with the sets of armor that were kind of like magically imbued. So they're like humanless, people-less, like magic armor suits. After we've turned in the payment, our goal is to head back to the guild hall to do the next thing. But we were talking with the hobgoblin banker, and he inquired about the chest that we found and the bandana that we found as well, because it had the seal of a group.
It was like a stitched logo.
Right.
Yep. Yeah.
So he inquired about that because we were like, also we found this. So, right. And did he? Okay, what I wrote was that we're heading to the east side of this area to the inn to stay the night before fully heading back to the guild hall. Mm-hmm. And that's where we left Miss Sorcatia.
Awesome. Yeah, he had given you a like letter basically to present when you got to the inn, because the like banking guild entity that he works for, as reward for you guys recovering that chest and then providing information about who may have caused that little incursion. As reward, he was paying for your room and board for the night for you and Zendo.
Right.
So
the letter is the payment for staying?
Yes. You'll just have to present that to the what would you call
staff?
It? Yeah. And then they'll get you checked in. So
cool.
So you guys were heading towards the tavern, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The inn, whatever it was where we were going to stay.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, as you guys are making your way over there, it is the name of the inn is the Crown's Rest. So the inn that you guys are helping with, the Fading Fern, it's a bit of a fixer-upper over time. So it's not well, I mean, you guys in game, Soren and Caitie are the owners of the Fading Fern. So, what do you feel like the overall vibe of the Fading Fern would be?
I think there's a Caitie, were you just waiting for me? I think there's a little bit of like Disney's Sleeping Beauty, like the cottage that the fairies end up like living in, like a little bit of that. It's lots and lots of wood. Shut up.
Lots of wood.
Much wood.
Wood. So
much.
So much.
Yeah, so I think it's very rustic. Like you said, it's fixer-upper. I would imagine there are a few little reading nooks that are like in need of repair that are not fully like fleshed out and probably in states of renovation. I kind of imagine that Caitie and I, at like any point in the day, you're gonna catch one of them like with their aprons stuffed full of shit they found because they're like, I forgot to put this back, or like I was cleaning something and got distracted. I feel like me specifically, I would have like little dirt stains like on me because I've just been, oh yeah, I need to put that away. Oh yeah, I need to go put that away because we're working on that room and whatnot. So I'm thinking drop cloths in some areas that are kind of covering up areas we haven't repaired.
Like areas that aren't like able to be stayed in yet, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
that kind of thing. What do you think, Caitie?
yeah, no, yeah, yeah. I think it is not pristine. I think if there were paint anywhere, it's probably faded and chipped because it's like reclaimed wood or something like that. So it's like very much a work in progress.
Gotcha. So, seeing as the Fading Fern is Sorcatia's kind of like home base for now, getting to stay at some other inns, probably, maybe she pays attention to like some of the finer details now that she's like an employee of one, sort of. So as you are approaching the Crown's Rest, the first thing that is kind of like a major part of it is the absolute massive size of it. The Crown's Rest, whereas most taverns usually have like, maybe 4 to 6 like forward-facing windows, because like maybe every other wall panel kind of has a window through it and is like 2 to 2.5 stories. The Crown's Rest takes up what you could consider like a city block, and has about 4 stories to it. It is gigantic and grand. It's
like a Holiday Inn.
Think like
size.
Yes, but as far as luxury level, probably 4 Seasons to like Embassy level. As you're approaching, the walls are so the whole style of the building is very like English, like Tudor styling. So lots of red brick, lots of like that white stone molding that is around like the windows and the big like open archways and doorways. And all the way on either side, there's like a lane that pulls through for carriages, where there's an actual like drive-through port for the carriage to enter into. As you and Zendo approach the front door, there's a doorman that goes to open the door for you, and as you're walking onto like the entry carpet, there's actually a gentleman, a dwarf, that walks up and is like, excuse me, can I take your boots for cleaning?
Yes.
Okay.
She's like,
And he presents you with like some like moccasin house shoes. He's like, "You're about a size 6."
good eye.
And he hands you a pair. On his back, he has like a set of hooks where he has like 5 or 6 different sizes of these like house shoes that are hanging off of him that are all clean, and they almost like look not even used before.
Probably because they're not.
Hands you a pair while you're taking your boots off, and then he turns to Zendo. They exchange house shoes and boots, and Zendo also leans over to him and is like, "We'll need the Adventure Express on that. We don't know when we'll be leaving. It could be any moment." And the dwarf is like, "Oh, yes, of course. And he takes the gold from Zendo and then rushes off with your boots. Zendo just turns to you and is like, "In these places, if you don't ask for express service with stuff, they'll kind of keep your stuff to make you hang out a little longer than you need to, kind of a thing. And then they can end up overcharging. So I'd rather we be able to scoot out of here as quick as we need to. That makes sense."
A highfalutin man of luxury, you are. Wow.
I prefer camping, but my family used to go to places like this, so...
A Vanderbilt.
Kind of, sort of, I don't know.
Old money, wow.
Give me an insight check. Oh, she had him ready.
I don't have it.
This is definitely going to make a noise, TJ, so sorry in advance.
It's fine.
14.
14. Okay. With a 14, you can tell that there is some, maybe not quite disdain, but like, you can tell that Zendo is a little uncomfortable in a place this nice. Like, he knows his way around, but he's definitely feeling like out of his element. He knows all the processes, he understands how to handle himself, but it's like a little bit of just like uncomfy, would rather be somewhere where he can control things, kind of a vibe.
Sure.
But anyways, as you're getting your boots carried off, there is a desk with the concierge, and it is a older woman with silver hair, pinned in a really nice like updo. She has like very straight posture. Everything about her uniform and appearance in general is like precise, almost to the level where it's cold, but not quite, because she's being like very welcoming with guests and stuff like that. So she's like a professional at what she does. And she has a little name tag that says Evelyn. You approach and she just greets you. "Well, hello there. How can I help you? Checking in?"
I think Sorcatia is kind of like unsure, and she like looks to Zendo. And then she looks back at the Evelyn lady and goes, "Yes, we are checking in."
Okay, for how many
she
nights?
pulls out the letter and just like,
Oh, okay. She like takes it with both hands and opens it up, and, like pops it out, and pulls out some glasses and starts reading. Okay, so 1 night stay, dinner and breakfast. You'll be heading out tomorrow?
Yeah, whatever that paper says, that's what we're doing.
Okay, sounds good. Will you be needing any special amenities for the evening, or just
What's
dinner?
a special amenity? Here specifically.
Oh, well, you're not from around here, I assume?
Very much no.
Okay. We are used to a very clientele where perhaps people just have certain either needs or preferences that they just like to have in their rooms.
Sure.
We can accommodate if you need a softer mattress, stiffer mattress, if you have any sort of sleeping problems and you need a violinist in your room or something like that.
I do have a question.
Okay.
Do you all have like a garden?
A garden.
Like a botanical garden?
We have a sunroom.
Okay.
Yeah, so that will be on the second level along the south wing. There is a very large sunroom. We use that as generally for like our brunch setups on weekends. But it is open just to walk through anytime you need. Did you want your room to be closer to the garden?
That would be awesome, actually. I would really appreciate that.
Yeah, that's no problem at all. And she digs through, leans over, grabs some keys from her key holder. And so then she presents you and Zendo with your room keys. And then Zendo just leans over to her and is like, also, I may have a friend that will be meeting us here in the morning. Am I going to need to give them anything so that they can get in? And she's like, oh no, just as long as they know your name and room number, then they should be able to come in, no problem. It's like, okay, thank you. And so then she just takes
Sorcatia hear that?
She did. Yeah.
Okay. She's just gonna look at him and be like,
I'll explain over dinner.
Yeah, whatever.
So as you guys enter into the main area, it is a large dining hall. Well, hall might be a bit basic of a word. So like you step into this giant room that almost feels like a ballroom. The floors are like polished, deep hardwood. All of the beams are like ornate with decoration and like extra like lanterns just to keep everything like cozy but still upscale. So lots of warm lighting, lots of like darker tones and wood accents. There is a large array of tables, which is about, I would say, at like half capacity right now. There's quite a few places to sit. And then on the far, like opposite side, there's a performance stage for any various acts that they may have going on. Tonight, specifically, there is a harpist that is playing. And just playing like a light melody, just kind of keeping the vibe calm and elegant.
Elegante.
That's exactly what I was about to say. This is a place that, like, for sure the headmaster from Spy Family would be, like, freaking out about.
Be like, elegante.
Yeah.
Running around.
On that note, I mean, you can imagine the staff here, they are in, like, more like dressed up like suits with coattails that are long. They are wearing, like, red over jackets or sports jackets. What would you call that?
Yeah,
have
you
long
could say
coat tails.
like just suit jackets. It would like tuxes typically have the tails, so you just like, you know, like there's a cropped version of that jacket that like servants or like wait staff would use. So like a cropped tux jacket.
Yeah. So you find your way over to a table, and a server walks up to you. Appears to just be a human male. Probably about late 20s, blonde hair, lighter complexion with some freckles across. As he approaches you, he hands you guys a couple of drink menus, and is like, would you guys like to hear about today's specials?
Yes.
Okay. So currently we are offering the Gold Spun Biscuit, the Traveler's Roast, the Merchant's Platter, and the Winter Hearth Pie. The Traveler's Roast is a slow-cooked venison with root vegetables paired with a honey glaze. And the Gold Spun Biscuit is a rich soup made with golden crab, saffron, and cream, with a side of toasted herb bread. either of those two jumping out at you, or would you like me to go over the last two?
I would love the roast.
The roast. Okay, not a problem.
Yeah.
And then Zendo is like, I'll just take the hearth pie. And he's
Short.
like, perfect, no problem at all. And then for drinks, we do have our signature golden ale. It's a smooth ale brewed with notes of caramel and spices, as well as our signature frost wine, which is a chilled white wine sourced from our local icy vineyards.
Oh.
Ice squapes.
Wow. Let's do the frost wine because that sounds exciting.
Frost wine, of course.
Yeah.
And then Zendo says, just the ale for me, thank you very much. And he's like, perfect. And then he takes off with your order. Zendo leans over to you. Just leans kind of like onto the table, finally showing a little bit more like lax in his shoulders. He's like, sorry to spring my friend coming by on you. You mentioned earlier today that you are looking into chromatic roses. I have a friend in the guild who is a bit of a fauna freak. And wait, no, fauna is animals?
Flora, yeah.
Flora. Bit of a freak
Fauna
about
is,
flora.
Got a little
fauna.
flora freak.
A little bit of a flora fauna one, if you know what I'm talking about. I reached out to her while we were waiting for the payment to get processed. Her name is Cam, and she will be meeting up with us tomorrow. Might have some leads or something to give you to go off of as far as that goes.
Wow. Okay. Well, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. I can tell that you're very interested in this stuff, and I don't know. I don't get a whole lot of time in one place, so I try to connect people where I can.
This is exciting.
Yeah. What are you hoping to do with chromatic roses anyway?
Cultivate them. Make them grow. Make them grow.
Didn't we I would have to go back and look at my notes, but join me on a memory journey. I feel like, did we want her to cultivate them to make them more accessible, like to the masses?
I don't think we said, gonna be honest. I think we said she's studying chromatic roses to cultivate. She wants to try to cultivate them. I don't think chromatic roses just like happen.
Right. I just mean, does she? I feel like there was some intent. Like she wants to cultivate them, yes, but then I felt like there was some kind of intention towards either like starting a shop to sell them or like becoming like an expert on them, essentially.
I think becoming an expert is as close as I can come up with as a link to something we said previously. I don't think in my long-term, short-term memory, I don't recall there being a reason. We just said she's studying chromatic roses to make them grow. So best path to that is being an expert in that.
Ta-da.
Okay. What are you trying to do with chromatic roses? I am just trying to make them happen naturally in nature and be the expert on them.
Okay. Yeah.
I think. We'll see. I mean, I don't know. I'm just starting this, so.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, they're, like I've told you guys, there's only one of you. Fuck. This is such a challenge sometimes. As I've told you, I've traveled a lot. And I mean, I don't even really come across them that often. They're usually kind of off on their own. Seemingly where a lot of elemental energy has been either like expended, or maybe where like some elementals have sprung up, some stuff like that. Seems to be some weird mix of stuff with that, but not enough that I've been able to see any strong link between it all. I just know that usually if I'm close to a lightning storm, I'll usually find one or two afterwards that are blue in color.
Ah, sure. Right.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
So in the meantime, before the guild, what have you been doing for work?
I've been helping these two crazy ladies put an inn together and have it be profitable. And that's where I became a bard. Much like the lute called to me, I provide entertainment to their guests.
Oh, nice. I mean, if you're looking for a step up in work, I'm sure you could ask these guys here if they ever need.
Yeah.
You like look at the harpist, and she's in like this super high-end gown that's like sparkling, almost like starlight, with like her golden hair pulled back, and she looks like she's worth a couple 100,000 gold alone, and then just like giant harp. Yeah.
Yeah.
As you were describing that, like the ballroom and the harpist, Caitie, I was going to ask you, do we feel like Sorcatia would be intimidated and like, because she got launched into being a bard, like not necessarily by choice. So she's like a reluctant bard.
Yeah, I think it's like a mixture of, I bet she eats whatever I'm about to eat every night of the week. Instead of whatever the innkeepers at the Fading Fern scrump together for an evening. So
you want
like,
my oatmeal scrambled egg?
So I feel like there's a little bit of like lifestyle envy there.
Sure.
And then like I think as she's like dissociating in the glitter of this woman's gown, she like comes to the also like the thought floats in of like, oh, but I would have to perform in front of all of these people, which the concierge just described as very opinionated, and that makes me want to vomit. So
I'll stick with the Fading Fern.
Yeah. So she dissociates and then goes, yeah, no, I think I'm fine where I am, but this is fun to come here for an evening and live the high life, you know?
For free.
Yeah, I suppose. And as you're kind of coming into the lull of the conversation, the waiter comes back with your order. You had ordered the roast, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is like the most tender meat you've ever had in your adult life. It is like still like smoking a little bit, like steaming.
I was gonna say, as the waiter presents the food, I think Cromar Olive comes up from under the like table, hops up into Sorcatia's lap, and like starts looking at it like, what's for dinner? And instead of doing perhaps the correct thing and being like, don't get down, she goes, garçon, could I have small plate for Cromar here, please?
Oh, yes, of course. I'm sorry. I didn't realize that you had a familiar with you. Yes, right away.
That's definitely what he is. Yes, thanks so much. And she ties a napkin around Cromar Olive's neck and puts him in the like opposite chair to her, and just he waits patiently for the plate to come back.
Yeah, within like an instant, he's back with like a little plate for you and sets it down.
Amazing.
And like sets the space for him to make sure there's nothing else in the way. And yeah, that's not a problem at all.
She cuts a little bit of the roast and puts it on Cromar's plate, and he just like very politely like eats a little bit and like chews.
He has a paw up with like a pinky out while he's like eating.
Yeah.
I wish there was a way I could just like a stream deck, like pull like a PNG in here and be like, this is the photo I found on Getty Images. But I did find a picture, so I'm gonna send it to you, TJ, and you can use it later. It just made me giggle. Okay, hold on.
Oh my god, yeah.
Little bandana.
Yeah, he's like this a little overweight floof ball of a calico cat with like the like
a little neck roll.
Yeah, and like the bandana that's tied around his neck, and he's just like, me also. Mm-hmm. What's Zendo think of that?
He's just cutting into his pie and is just like slowly shaking his head and looking over at the cat. It's like, spoiled rotten.
But you can just imagine Sorcatia being like, bitch, I'm a mother. No drama.
Yeah, so you have a great meal. The wine is very light. Has a bit of it's not served super cold, like it's like, you know, normal wine temperature for like a white wine. But as it like goes down, it's almost like when you're breathing after having like spearmint, where like you feel that like sensation. And it does have just like a very light blue glow to it, but not like radiation kind of a glow, but
down the hatch, so it's probably fine.
It's more like a natural refraction of the light, not like a magical glow coming from it.
Yeah.
As you guys are wrapping up your dinner, give me a perception check.
I almost made the joke that Caitie and I should change our title names on our cards to Sorcatia.
1 and 2.
Just Sorcatia.
Perception, you said?
Yep.
How's an 8 do ya?
Does it do ya?
Probably not, huh?
Do it do ya?
You notice Zendo, he's a very controlled and like intentional person when it comes to like his movement.
Sure.
As he's like kind of leaning back in his seat from eating and like just kind of taking the room in, you see just the smallest like jolt in him. And he just sort of like looks around the room a little bit, and he gets quiet for a moment, but then turns to you. I may have to have Cam escort you home tomorrow. Is that okay?
Yeah. What is happening?
What's about to happen?
What's about to happen?
Everything's fine. I just got a message from the guild.
The ether?
Yeah. Out of like above table is most likely a sending message that he had received. But with a roll of an 8, like Sorcatia doesn't really know that.
Yeah.
She just saw him get startled.
Do you need help?
No, it's more of a personal request that I've got from someone. But I am gonna have to take off pretty early in order to get there in time. But also, Cam is rarely ever available when you want her to be. So I would hate for you to miss out on an opportunity to talk shop with her and potentially get some leads on your cultivation theory. So, so yeah, she'll just be taking the last leg of getting you back.
Well, but what if
Not exactly.
Like a hair tie I can pull or slam the ground.
So Zendo just kind of leans in and he's like, Are you wanting to stay in contact because you think you'll still need help, or?
Well, I don't know. Yeah, you've been a nice person, and you just said yourself that you're all about making connections. So why not continue? Why drop this connection? You seem like a good guy. I just want to stay in touch, all right?
Give me persuasion with advantage.
Why are you giving us advantage?
Why not?
Because you made a call.
I want to know why.
Because you made a call back to something he said earlier. And you are also trying to like leverage something about him, as well as like building upon what he said.
I'm rolling like trash. 13?
With advantage?
Yeah.
Okay. You only needed to make a 10.
Okay.
So you're fine. Tell you what. I've got one last pair of these. So I'll give you one. I can't guarantee that I'll get back to you immediately. But regardless, if you need help, I'll be there. And he reaches down and he pours out a bag that was on his waist, like a satchel, that they look like a bunch of different colored rocks. There's like one that's like a purple gemstone. There's another one that's like got more of a turquoise sort of style to it. And then there is a pair of ruby stones that are here. And he passes one over to you. You can add a sending stone to Sorcatia's inventory.
Hell yeah.
It's like, if you need to get in touch with me, just hold this and channel your message through it, just like you would with your magic. And I'll get whatever you're trying to say to me.
Is it unlimited?
It's once a day.
Is there a word limit?
Actually, I was trying to look that up, and it's like sending stones. Well, it casts the sending spell.
Okay. And sending is cast either stone. Yeah.
25 words or less.
All right.
Yeah.
You poop it? Anyway.
I'm okay, but I did
she holds it and she puts it in her bag and she goes, "Thanks.
Yeah.
Nice to know that I can get a hold of you if I need it."
Sure thing. And yeah, another extra connection wouldn't be bad. So
darn tootin'.
All right. Well, I'm gonna go turn in since I'm gonna have an early start tomorrow. But
all right.
You be careful and don't let Cam get you into any trouble.
Okay. Travel safe.
You too.
Oh, stop it.
He gets up and saunters off to his room. Anything else you want to do in the inn tonight, or do you want to go ahead and turn in?
Soren, do you want to go check out the garden?
Yeah.
Okay. As you head off to your room with a very full cat now. That is...
I thought you were going to say full stomach.
Just like...
a very full feline.
He's just like leaning back against the chair. He's like...
god!
Boy is stuffed. You head up to your room, and you see that Evelyn did keep her word. She gave you a room that is just next to kind of a large opening. The way that I think about it is like when you're walking down a hall in a hotel and you can see that there's like an opening coming up where most likely elevators are. Kind of like that feeling, except larger, and you can hear just the slightest sound of like a pitter-pattering of running water. So as you make your way into the sunroom, it is probably about I'd say 20 to 30 feet long, and about the room itself is probably 20 feet deep from like the hallway that you were in. There's a lot of just like sort of iron furniture like you would see in like a normal like brunch garden kind of setup, except they all have like super nice padding in all the seats, and the tops of all of the tables are like a really nice like marble that's on top of them with gold trim. And then yes, the sunroom, like it is very botanical, in lots of like vines that are growing along different little installments that they have, like little statues. Everything is very manicured, with a small kind of like babbling brook sort of setup that like snakes through the room, with a little fountain on the far end that is like emitting the water. And it's just a small sculpture of like an Azamar, and the water is like being cast out of its hand, sort of. Yeah.
I feel like she would just probably just be taking a walk. If Cromar is able to move, I think he would just be with her.
More waddling.
Yeah. But I think with her first like big adventure and then going through this really luxurious dinner and all of these new experiences, I feel like she would be coming here to just like decompress. So I have a feeling she has like a little field notes, like just like a little field guide notebook she takes around to like track whatever plants she sees like in life in general. So I feel like she would just be looking at the plants in the garden, trying to see if she sees anything new, just maybe making notes about like color variations in the flowers, in the flowers, in the plants, all that, and just decompressing like from all of that, because it was a lot.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so I feel like after she does her little decompression time, she would check in on Cromar and be like, "You ready to go to bed?" Meow. And she would pick up this very full feline. And hoist him back to the room after her little decompress session.
Yeah, for sure. So as you enter the room, there is a gorgeous 4-post bed, has a wooden frame around it, and then you have a small like writing desk that is complete with drawers and a cushy chair. There's an armchair over by a hearth that has what seems to be a magical fire emitting from it, as there is no perceivable chimney and there's no smoke filling the room. But very cozy, still same theming with like dark reds and just elegant theming overall. You turn in for the night, So you can go ahead. I don't think. Well, I'm gonna guess you didn't have anything spent for your character yet. Yeah, you could count a long rest if you needed to. You get the. Well, I guess that's another question for you. How do you feel like Sorcatia would sleep away from the Fading Fern? With it being a pretty packed day, would she just pass out, or what are you thinking?
I mean, I meant it when I feel like she would just see that bed and see how like cool the room was, and she'd be like, I don't know that I will ever be in a place like this again. And she just like sends it into the bed.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think Cromar Olive also like slides in like another person next to her, like has his own side of the bed. Mm-hmm.
As you're settling in, you notice at the foot of the bed there was a pair of silk jammies for you.
Silk jammies.
And then now that you're looking back towards the door, by the entrance to the door, your clean boots are already there ready for you.
Nice.
Yeah.
She's like, I freaking love it here.
Service.
Just stay there forever.
Yeah.
This is the new campaign. It's just living in the Queen's
Sweet life of Zach and Cody, but it's
Sorcatia at the Plaza. Well, that's it for us this week. Thanks so much for spending time with us today, and thanks to Noah Trumbull for the use of our theme song. There's a link to his Instagram in our episode down below, and be sure to give him a follow and stay up to date on all of his music and projects that he's working on.
Yeah. If you're enjoying the show, there are a couple things we'd really appreciate it if you do. The first one is to leave us a review or comment. Either one, both are helpful. They help each other, help other people find us. You help each other find us by leaving a review or a comment. Anyway, second, follow us wherever you get your podcasts so that you can get to these episodes quicker and easier. And then lastly, follow us on Facebook and Instagram because we post stuff there and it's a fun time.
We sure do. And we also want to hear from you. So if something came up today in our conversation in this session that made you think or gave you an idea or inspired you, or you have a topic that you want to hear from us next, we would love to hear about that. Either comment on our socials or shoot us an email at chromaroses@gmail.com. That's CHROMAROSES@gmail.com. And that's all lowercase. And we can't wait to hear from you.
This has been another episode of Chromatic Roses. I'm Caitie.
And I'm Soren.
And I'm TJ.
Nice.
Mommy those hobbies.
Okay, love you.
Okay, love you. Bye.